Good morning. I'm Reverend John Riley, and I'd like to welcome you to Unity Palo Alto's Sunday Service Celebration Shelter in Grace Edition. What we want you to know is that Unity is a welcoming and inclusive spiritual community that helps people from all walks of life do life better through spiritual living. I've got a frog in my throat this morning. We are a self-funded spiritual center, and if you're inspired and uplifted by today's service, we encourage you to make a donation to support our live stream and to support our spiritual community. And now we begin our service with our opening song with Deborah Winters and Russell Norman. So Deborah, take it away.
Nothing is ever lost, and we are not forgotten. We are living in the heart of God. Nothing is ever lost, and we are not forgotten. We are living in the heart of God. We are living, we are living, we are living in the heart of God. We are living, we are living, we are living in the heart of God. Morning sun coming through the trees, and the green leaves shiver in the morning breeze. The songbirds singing to the honeybees, living in the heart of God. We are living, we are living, we are living in the heart of God. We are living, we are living, we are living in the heart of God. We are living in the heart of God. We are living in the heart of God.
Good morning. My name is Rusty Gaillard, and it is great to connect with you here this morning. Welcome to Unity Palo Alto's online service. Unity Palo Alto is part of a worldwide movement of prayer, publishing, and education, teaching positive, practical, spiritual principles that you can apply to help you live a more joyful and abundant life. Unity is a spiritual movement. We are welcoming and inclusive, and wherever you are on your spiritual path, you are welcome here. We have 5 core principles that guide us on our spiritual path. The first principle is God is. God is everywhere present. God is always present. And it is the one power that is active in the universe and in our lives. That is God, the good omnipotent. The second principle is that God is the substance and intelligence innate in every person and in all creation. In you and in me and in everyone around us, God, we are connected to and a part of that one power and presence. The third principle is that thoughts in mind produce after their kind. We have the ability to affect our world, and it starts with our thinking. Our fourth principle is the practice of prayer and meditation. Prayer and meditation are a way to connect us with that creative, constructive power of God so that it can work in and through us in the world. And our fifth principle is practical application. As we live according to these truths daily, we become what we were created to be, which is living expressions of the image of God, which in Unity we call the Christ. These 5 core principles guide us in living our vision statement. And I invite you to read and affirm that statement with me right now all together. Centered in God, we co-create a world that works for all. And so it is. We are a welcoming community with many vital opportunities for spiritual growth, sacred service, and celebrating our community. And we're continuing to do that all virtually during this time. So we are excited to welcome back the Reverend Martha Creek as our guest speaker next Sunday, July 26th. Martha is widely known throughout the New Thought movement, and she's a frequent guest here. If you haven't seen her, definitely encourage you to tune in. She is a master of the art of right questioning. She calls forth the most stubborn and self-defeating patterns to create a new way of being. Literally, very freeing. After the service, Martha will also be holding an online workshop called Integrating the Work, Living in Joy. And that will be held on Zoom. More information is on our website at unitypaloalto.org. We also have 2 more fabulous pickup parties coming up. If you haven't participated in one, this is a great way to join the Unity community and meet some people and hang out. So one opportunity is 3 wellness sessions with Susan Lewis. So during this time, there's a lot of stress. So take them up time to alchemize mindfulness, play, dreams, and wisdom. The goal of these sessions is to discover ways for you to experience a greater sense of well-being. So many dates and times are available. Then the other opportunity is Dinner to Your Door by Paul and Alice Goodwin. That's on August 8th. So Paul and Alice will prepare a meal in their home and deliver a complete meal, including dessert. So it's going to be prepared with love in their home, and the menu is Parmesan crusted chicken with saffron rice, green beans, and corn on the cob. Sounds good. There's a dessert is lemon cloud, which is on the side. So sign up while supplies last. There's more information about these and other opportunities all on the website, which is unitypaloalto.org/fund-raisers. So check that out, and we hope to see you online at one of those sessions. You can also check out our social media channels if you're not on already. I know some of you watch on YouTube or on Facebook, but there's many ways to connect with us here at Unity Palo Alto, so check those out as well. Now is the time that if we were in person, we would be greeting each other with a handshake, a hug, a high five, and just a smile to say happy Sunday. If you're on one of our social media channels like Facebook or YouTube that allows comments, put a comment in there. Wish a happy Sunday and a welcome to those who are watching with you. I know when I watch, that's always a fun part of the service for me, is to interact with others in that way. So I hope you join that. And if you're watching on our website, or if you're not putting a comment in, you can just put your hand over your heart and send everyone that's here with you and out into the world, send them a blessing of love and goodwill. If you're tuning in for the first time, or if you're back from a long absence, we would love to hear from you. It's a nice way for us to connect with those of you who haven't been a part of the Unity community. We have an online connection card. Just go to our website at unitypaloalto.org/live. And the online connection card is right there. So happy Sunday. I'm going to turn it now back over to Deborah for our call to worship song.
Spirit of the living God, move afresh in me. Spirit of the living God, move afresh in me. Melt me, mold me, fill me, use me. Spirit of the living God, rise afresh in me. Spirit of the living God, rise afresh in me.
And now a reading from the Daily Word. Today's word is togetherness. I'm going to read the affirmation and then I'll invite you to join me in saying it together. I share God's love, peace, and joy. Will you affirm that with me now? I share God's love, peace, and joy. While I treasure my times of quiet and solitude, I also look forward to enjoying the company of family, friends, and members of my faith community. Whether we're working, volunteering, praying, or simply enjoying one another's company, our shared experiences allow me to support people I care about and feel supported in return. I enjoy and value togetherness throughout every season of my human journey, during times of trial, hardship, or grief. Being in the company of friends and family helps comfort me and keep me strong. Likewise, during times of celebration, being in the company of others multiplies my joy. In times of togetherness, may the love, peace, comfort, and joy of God bless us all. The scripture reading that goes with this is from the book of Acts. All who believed were together and had all things in common. And now back to Deborah for a solo.
I hope that days come easy and the moments pass slow, and each road you leads you where you wanna go. And if you're faced with a choice and you have to choose, I hope you choose the one that means the most to you. And if one door opens to another door closed, I hope you keep walking till you find the window. And if it's cold outside, show the warmth of your smile. But more than anything, oh, my wish for you is that this life becomes all that you want it to. Your dreams stay big, your worries stay small. You never have to carry more than you can hold. And while you're out there getting where you're getting to, I hope you know somebody loves you and wants the same things too. Hey, that is my wish for you. I hope you never look back, but you never forget all the ones who love you in the place you left. I hope you always forgive and you never regret, and you help somebody every chance you get. Oh, if you find God's grace in every mistake, you always give more than you can take. But more than anything, my wish for you is that this life becomes all that you want it to. Your dreams stay big, your worries stay small. You never have to carry more than you can hold. And while you're out there getting where you're getting to, I hope you know somebody loves you and wants the same things too. Yeah, this is my wish for you. My wish for you. Yeah. My wish for you is that this life becomes all that you want it to. Your dreams stay big, your worries stay small. You never have to carry more than you can hold. And while you're out there getting where you're getting to, I hope you know somebody loves you and wants the same things too. Yeah, this is my wish for you. This is my wish for you.
Welcome to the Roaring 2020s. Each year we come up with a theme, and this year our theme was the Roaring 2020s. That is the spiritual revolution and the evolution of our consciousness, of leaning into this year, of creating a new Roaring 20s, the Roaring 2020s, and really raising our consciousness. Who'd have known, who'd have thought back then that we would need this theme and this idea so much? Right now we're in the middle of this experience of sheltering in grace, in the middle of our year here, and it's a great opportunity for us to lean back into that theme of creating a roaring 2020s of spiritual evolution. We began a couple months ago with a theme called beingness. And our affirmation for that theme was, I step into a greater awareness and expression of my divine potential. Would you affirm that with me together? I step into a greater expression and awareness and expression of my divine potential. After that, we stepped into a month of purpose. And purpose was the idea that we are living from that beingness, that we are now moving into expressing that beingness and bringing that out into the world. And our affirmation, and I'll invite you to affirm it with me, in the silence, I listen. Trusting source, I leap. With purity of purpose, I lead. And so from that place of beingness, we now put that beingness into action by living a purpose-filled life, by living a life that is meaningful to ourselves, to others, a life that expresses that fullness of our divine potential. Now this month, we're focusing on courage, because once you step out, once you start leading, it takes a lot of courage. Especially in times like this. It takes some time for us. It takes some spiritual energy for us to get out there and to be that expression. And so our affirmation for this month is, I choose to live fearlessly, to face any seeming obstacle by approaching it with faith and courage. And so it is. Now, one of the most courageous spiritual practices that I can think of is the practice of forgiveness. Forgiveness is so key to our spiritual well-being, to our spiritual growth, to our mental and physical and emotional well-being. Forgiveness is such a key component for us. And it's a component that was taught throughout the ages. It's one of Jesus's main topics of teachings, one that he said is that we can't do without. So let's talk first about what forgiveness is, because forgiveness is, sometimes when we look at forgiveness or when we think about forgiveness from a human perspective, we come at it as forgiveness as a supplication to someone else. We come at it from a perspective of a conditioned behavior or pretending things don't exist. Rather, instead of that, it's really a standing in your own power. It's in standing in your own power of beingness and living that purpose-filled life. Now, sometimes we approach forgiveness as a feeling of superiority over someone with self-deceiving indifference. It might be that idea of, oh, whatever he have meant, whatever. I forgive him. Don't worry, darling, I forgive you. It's no big whoop. It's not quite that either. Rather, it's an acknowledgement of our own inner foibles. Sometimes we look at forgiveness as an experience of feeling anger and resentment for somebody or something, somebody who refuses to acknowledge their transgression against us. And it comes across as, I will forgive you if you do this, if you say you're sorry, if you decide to put the lid on the toothpaste instead of leaving the lid off of the toothpaste, then I will forgive you. And that's nothing really more than really spiritual extortion. That's just, it's asking something of someone else in order for yourself to let go and allow your forgiveness to flow to that other person. And it comes from that feeling of resentment. It's kind of like this. Whenever we have unforgiveness, whenever we're experiencing unforgiveness, and it happens to all of us, it happens because we're human. So whenever we have that sense from either the big things in life that cause us to be frustrated and angry and resentful, or even the little things in life, like leaving the lid off the toothpaste, it's like you're in the river of life, you're in the flow of life, life is cruising along, and you get stuck in those rapids. And you get tumbled over and over again into the rocks, and you're gasping for air. That's what unforgiveness is like. You're stuck. You're just churning in that moment. And sometimes it shows up as like, well, okay, yeah, I will, put the lid on the toothpaste as soon as you clean up the dishes. And so we get into this cycle of little things in life that create a sense of unforgiveness, that create a sense of resentment. And it's this that we need to break out of. We need to figure out how to get out of that rapid. We need to figure out how to get back into the stream of life. Because when we're in that rapid, we can't see all the beauty around us. We can't experience the peace and tranquility of floating along a nice, calm river. We're in the middle of stuff because rapids come up. This isn't about pretending the rapids don't exist. They will come up. And things will happen and people will do things. And the key is to be able to navigate those rapids smoothly and easily without getting stuck in them, without pounding ourselves against the rock, without being submerged underwater, unable to breathe. Because that's what we're doing to ourselves when we have unforgiveness. We are suffocating ourselves. We're beating ourselves up. It really isn't about the other person anymore. Now it's about my own inner slavery, my own inner struggle and strife. And so forgiveness, what it really is an inner act of restoration to your beingness. Forgiveness is getting back to your beingness and getting back to your divine potential and coming to life from that place and that potential. Forgiveness is reliably knowing and upholding your inner and outer boundaries. It's knowing that I have a protective boundary around me. I am accountable. I am in integrity with my inner compass, with my spiritual values. And when I live from that, with those boundaries, with that integrity, with that accountability, then regardless of the rapids, regardless of what happens around me, I can bring that sense of stability, that sense of courage and purposeful living and beingness into any situation, and therefore be less diminished by it, therefore be less hurt by it. I may get hurt initially, but I may be able to move through the rapids with more ease and more grace. True forgiveness is giving up the clinging to something, to someone, and reclaiming the power that you have forgotten, that you have given over, that you have let go of. Reclaiming that power that is within us, that spiritual beingness. That's what forgiveness is really all about. It's not an external thing. It's not about granting someone your grace because they've decided to say, I'm sorry, or granting someone, your grace because they decided to put the lid on the toothpaste. It is about restoring our inner balance so that when the lid is off the toothpaste, it's no big whoop. You clean it up, you put the lid on, and you move on. You might have a dialogue, but you very easily and effortlessly move through the rapids. And so that you can continue to live a purpose-filled life. So you don't get stuck in the rapids, you don't get stuck beating yourself up, you kind of move yourself along. So when you approach something anchored in your beingness with a purity of purpose, seeing life situations through a spiritual lens, through that inner power lens, knowing that you're one with the full expression of the infinite intelligence, you're one with the harmonizing power of divine love that comes from the core of your being and the core of everyone else's being. There is no room in life for unforgiveness. Now, you've heard it said before that, this idea of forgiveness, genuine forgiveness, is not a casual act. It's not superficial work. It's not something that we say, well, okay, I forgive you. Don't worry, darling. and then we go on our way, still holding the grudge within us. Because the unforgiveness is that grudge that we're clinging on to. And those grudges pile up. As time goes on, it's not just the toothpaste anymore, right? It's now the toilet seat, or it's now the clutter on the table. It's now your piles of papers everywhere. Things start to build up because we're not fully releasing it. So it's not superficial work, but what it is a realigning of our human consciousness with spirit. A realigning of that humanness to our spiritual beingness. It is a reclaiming of your inner spiritual power. Last week we spoke about the idea of affirmative prayer as a state of consciousness when we are consciously aligned with and living with purity of purpose. Forgiveness and the forgiveness practice is I think the most effective way to getting there. It's how we get back to that state of affirmative prayer as a consciousness. How we get back to that state of living from our higher consciousness, living from our higher sense of being, living from that moral compass. And until there's no room for unforgiveness, then we are stuck. We have to fill ourselves up. Now, you've heard it said before, when I've spoken about forgiveness, there's a story in the Bible, a wonderful story that Jesus tells, a parable in Matthew chapter 18. Jesus was teaching about forgiveness, and Peter said to him, "Lord, how often do I have to forgive my brother, this guy who sins against me? How often do I have to forgive him? 7 times?" And Jesus said to him, "Not 7 times, but 70 times 7 times." Now, spiritually, numbers have meaning in the Bible, and the number 7 represents the spiritual completion. So it's not something that we do once and you're done. It's something that we do continuously. Forgiveness is really a way of living. Forgiveness is a way of constantly recorrecting our own error thoughts away from an error thought and back to spirit. Away from judgment and back to spirit. Away from fear, away from stress, and just back to spirit. So it's a way of living. And it can be as easy as just trimming the sails. Now, after Jesus told that story to Peter, I'm sure he saw the blank look in Peter's face. So we went on to tell the parable about the unforgiving servant. It's in Matthew 18, verses 15 through 35. But here's the gist of it. He began by saying, "For this reason, the kingdom of heaven may be compared to a certain king who wished to settle accounts with his servants." Now, as we look at that from a metaphysical standpoint, of course, the idea of a certain king, the king is our intellectual property, it's our thinking capacity, it's our ability to make decisions. And a certain king in this point is that part of us that has that self-righteous indignation, that part of us that says, "You did this to me and you've got to make up for it." Those servants, those are the ideas that help us put things into action, that help us live in purpose, that help us, move through life. And so in the story, one of the servants owed the king some money and he couldn't pay. He needed a little bit more time. He was running behind. So what does the king do? Naturally, the king throws him in jail. Well, he can't pay you back when he's working, and now you put him in jail where he can't earn any money. How is he going to pay you back then? So the parable goes on to, that's what the kingdom of life is like. That's what unforgiveness is like. At the end, Jesus says that until you can forgive everybody, that's what your experience of life is going to be like. You're either going to be the king, angry, resentful, frustrated, throwing people in jail. At the same time, you're going to be the servant with those capacities that could actually take you somewhere, that could actually lift you up, that could bring you a greater sense of prosperity or abundance of joy, is in shackles, all because of our unforgiveness. Now, at this point, I think this was the why we do it. And I think at this point, Jesus, pushed back from the table and said, okay, people can understand just so much. And I know that when I first heard that, how often do I need to forgive 70 times 7? It's like, yeah, okay, I get that. So how do you do it? Doesn't that become the big challenge? All of these little things I've tried to forgive, but how do I actually get to that point of forgiveness? I found recently a video by Brene Brown. It's on Super Soul Sunday, and it's called The Anatomy of Trust. And I would like to go through that because when I listened to it, I thought, wow, this is really exciting. This is based on mountains and mountains of data from research that she has done. And these are the components that create trust in a relationship. So I thought, this sounds like a good thing to do. This sounds like a good thing to start looking at. And when I started digging into it, what I realized is just as forgiveness is inner work, just as forgiveness is something that I do within me and isn't necessarily something that I do out here, so is this model of creating trust within me, creating that sense of forgiveness. It's a roadmap to how I create a sense of self-forgiveness. And from that self-forgiveness, I then lead and live in life. What I'm going to do is give you a quick synopsis of the acronym BRAVING as it relates to self-forgiveness using Brené's model. And I've decided I'm going to go ahead and teach a class on this, Braving Forgiveness. It's going to start in about 2 weeks on Thursday nights. So this afternoon, I'll get the registration ready for you. So if you are ready to take a deeper dive into it, and to practice these things and to see how they work for you and how they can lift you up, then sign up for the class. The first B stands for boundaries. If I trust you enough about your boundaries and you hold them and are clear about my boundaries, then I will respect you. Well, let's turn that within. Am I clear about my inner boundaries? Do I honor and respect my own inner boundaries? There may be conflict outside of me. There may be energy, and when I don't respect those boundaries, I experience that energy draining from me. I experience the attacks. I experience myself as being more of a victim and wounded. But when I adhere to my boundaries, both my inner boundaries and my outer boundaries, I know where I stop and I know where you begin. And when I adhere to those boundaries, I create a greater sense of self-forgiveness. I'm not caught up in everything that's going on in the rapids. R stands for reliability. I can trust you if you do what I say you're going to do. So can I trust myself to do what I say I'm going to do, both internally and externally? Am I clear on my limitations, and do I set realistic expectations for myself? Can I consistently rely on myself? Can I allow myself to be reliable? What happens when I am reliable within myself, and what happens when I'm not? Take a look at that this week. The third component, A, stands for accountability. Am I accountable to my own inner compass? My inner values, my higher awareness? Internally, do I own my own mistakes? How often do I put the blame on someone else, on other people, on other situations? Am I holding myself accountable? The fourth, V, stands for the vault. Am I willing to hold things confidential? When does my vault leak? Can I trust myself not to succumb to the temptation of being the person in the know? Can I trust myself not to succumb to the temptation of being the center of attention? Can I hold things in confidence? Do I have healthy ways and means to unburden myself? Instead of being by the water tank, the water cooler, gossiping, do I have healthy ways in which I can unburden myself and express these things to allow myself? Can I hold that for myself? Next comes I, and that stands for integrity. Can I trust myself to act from a place of integrity? Can I choose courage over comfort? Can I choose what's right over fun, fast, or easy? Can I practice my values and not just profess them as values? And under what circumstances do I choose comfort over courage? Under what conditions do I choose fun, fast, and easy over what's right? It's not about blame, shaming, and guilting ourselves. It's about becoming more aware and becoming more skilled at practicing these. N stands for non-judgment. Can I fall apart and be in the struggle and ask for help without judging myself? Can I live my human nature? Can I make mistakes? Can I have foibles? Can I make indecisions? Can I be indecisive? Can I be separate and think of myself as separate and not connected to each other? Can I lash out? Can I be defensive? Can I be all those things without bringing myself down in the blame, shame, and guilt cycle? Can I correct those things with non-judgment? Can I move back to center quickly and effortlessly so that I can correct them? You see, judgment prevents us from moving back into integrity. Judging prevents us from moving back into accountability. Judging prevents us from moving back into our boundaries. So can I be non-judgmental and simply do the work? And therefore be non-judgmental, less judgmental about those things, places, and conditions around me. And finally, generosity. Can I be generous with myself? Can I give myself a pat on the back and praise myself for progress? Can I think about my words, my intentions, my behaviors, and ensure that they are uplifting? And can I express that to other people in the world? Can I be all those things? Can I brave forgiveness? Can I be braving and take on one of the most courageous spiritual practices that has ever been taught, so that I can be in that flow, that river of life with ease and grace? When the rapids come along, I know that the rapids will be there, but I can very deftly, there's the word, deftly navigate those rapids. Can I flow through them with ease and grace without getting caught up, without pounding myself against the rock? Can I forgive and forgive again? Affirmative prayer is a state of consciousness. When we are consciously aligned with living with a purity of purpose, and forgiveness is how we get there. Don't forget, if you'd like to go into this a lot more in depth, if you have a couple of questions, I have spiritual coffee talk right after the service today. You can ask me your questions there. And if you would like to go more in depth, then sign up for the class, Braving Forgiveness. I'd like to close the talk with a poem by my mom. She and I have been conversing almost daily, building up our repertoire for the roaring spiritual 2020s, building up our spiritual strength so that we can move into this roaring 2020s with ease and grace and create it for ourselves. The poem, Courageous Forgiveness. I am confident, courageous, steady, and strong, and ready for more than just getting along. Releasing judgment, fear, and doubt, I am ready to forgive and live life full out. So, I'm making this a wow moment, a spirit is guiding me now moment. I'm not weak, I am revived, fully at peace, vital, alive. With courage, compassion, with strength, I am going the distance, whatever the length. Let us take this into our time of prayer and meditation. I invite you to take a nice, deep, cleansing breath as we move into an experience of knowing our oneness, our beingness, of drawing forth our willingness to live a purpose-filled life. And in the process, we forgive, we let go, and we return to our moral compass. With a nice, deep cleansing breath, I invite you to return your attention to this time and this space. And in this moment, we allow our thoughts and our words to settle. We allow the craziness of our day, of our week, whatever's coming up, the stir craziness, to just relax, to release, as we gently flow down the river of life. With a nice, deep cleansing breath, I listen to that still small voice within me. I listen for guidance. I listen for direction, for words of comfort, for healing words. I listen in the stillness, in the silence. I am confident, courageous, steady, and strong. I release judgment, fear, and doubt. I forgive, and I live life full out. In this moment, Spirit is moving in and through me. This is a wow moment. A Spirit is guiding me now moment. I am not weak. I am revived, fully at peace, vital, and alive. With courage and compassion, with strength, we are one in the infinite flow of life. And with joy in our heart, we say thank you, thank you, thank you, Spirit. And so it is. Amen. And with a nice deep cleansing breath, I invite us to return to this location, to this time, to this consciousness, to this reality, and to breathe into this present moment. We're so grateful for the opportunity that we have to live with this spiritual knowing, to live and to come together in spiritual community. We're so grateful for your willingness to live with integrity, with purpose, live a spirit-filled life. It's time that we step into that spiritual practice of practicing the flow, allowing our good to flow to us, through us, and as us, as we move into a time of our love offering. There are many ways in which you can give to our spiritual community, through online, through PayPal, by mailing in your donation. Whatever is your most convenient, most comfortable, most effective way to do it, we invite you to take the time now to bless your gift in your own unique and special way, to fill it with your love as we affirm the affirmation that's on the screen now. Together, divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I am. And so it is. Amen. We're so grateful for your generosity, and each month we give to a safety net organization within our community. And this month we are giving, and we would like, actually, I have a video from our Sharing Abundance chair, Julie Grabscheid, who's going to tell us a little bit more about our recipient today.
Abundance team, and this month in July I have the honor to talk about our recipient called Life Moves. Hello Unity Palo Alto, my name is Julie Grabscheid and I'm part of your Sharing Abundance team, and this month in July I have the honor to talk about our recipient called Life Moves. Life Moves is an innovative nonprofit organization committed to breaking the cycle of homelessness for families and individuals that live in Santa Clara and San Mateo counties. Their mission since 1987 has been to provide interim housing and support services for homeless families and individuals and try to help them to rapidly return to some type of stable, long-term self-sufficiency. Life Move operates 10 emergency shelters and a total of 23 shelter and shelter service facilities across San Mateo and Santa Clara counties. They provide things like food and clothing and shelter to more than 950 individuals. Almost a third of those are minor children. And last year, with the help of 250 employees and more than 12,000 volunteers, they provided more than 244,000 nights of shelter and returned more than 2,100 clients to stable and permanent housing. Most importantly, they would say that they think their program has an effective model. They wanted to tell us that last year, 86% of their families and 68% of their individuals who engaged in their programming returned to stable housing and were equipped with skills and competencies to maintain long-term self-sufficiency, which is great. In addition to providing shelter and shelter-based services, they wanted us to know that they administer a broad range of programs such as homeless outreach, veteran support services, rapid rehousing programs, motel voucher programs, and homelessness prevention and emergency assistance. So thank you, Life Moves, for all you do, and thank you, Unity, for the support that we are able to give them in this wonderful work that they do in our community.
Thank you, Julie. And now for our closing song with Deborah Winters. Deborah, take it away. I guess you got to unmute yourself.
Higher than the mountains that I face, stronger than the power of the grave, constant in the trial and the change, one thing remains, one thing remains. Your love never fails, it never gives up, it never runs out on me. Your love never fails, it never gives up, it never runs out on me. Your love never fails, it never gives up, it never runs out on me. Your love never, never gives up. It never runs out on me. Your love never fails. It never gives up. It never runs out on me. And I never ever have to be afraid. 'Cause one thing remains. One thing remains. Your love never fails. It never gives up. It never runs out on me. Your love never fails. It never gives up. It never runs out on me. Your love never fails. It never gives up. It never runs out on me. Your love. Your love. Oh, your love never fails. It never gives up. It never runs out on me. Your love never fails. It never gives up. It never runs out on me. Your love never fails. It never gives up. It never runs out on me. Your love. Your love.
And now our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Peace and blessings. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. And join me for spiritual coffee talk right after the service. Thanks, everyone.